Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drugs Milan Unboxing. For the Scottish fans among you, there's a huge treat at the SSE Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland. I'm talking, of course, about your local man, the undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world, the Tartan Tornado, Josh Taylor, one of my favorite fighters too. If he's not on your pound for pound list somewhere, he should be. And he will be defending his world title, all the belts on the line against the WBO #1 contender, Jack Catterall, also from the UK. And the big question is, will he dispatch of his mandatory challenger, who really isn't on that elite level that he's used to fighting, or will he underestimate him and will it be a banana skin? Will it be like George Kambosos Jr. against Teofimo Lopez, and will Catterall be able to spring a big upset? That is the question. Now, Josh Taylor has had an amazing career in 18 fights, all four of the major belts, from Muhammad Ali trophy winner from the World Boxing Super Series. He's done absolutely everything that's been asked of him. So we know who Josh Taylor is. He's a speedy southpaw, quick hands, quick feet, can crack, and he can fight as both as a southpaw and orthodox. He's more of a boxer puncher. Very tricky guy to have in the ring in front of you, and he's coming off career high, unifying all the titles against his then WBC and WBO counterpart, Jose Carlos Ramirez, scoring a couple of knockdowns in the process. Now, Jack Catterall is up against it. He is also undefeated. He has more fights, 26-0, 13 knockouts, but he hasn't nearly competed at the same level. Not to say that he has a manufactured record. He's fought some good, solid guys, but basically on UK and European level. Now, Jack Catterall is also a southpaw. He's more of a technician. He fights two styles. If I look at his last fight that was back in 2020 against a guy with a surname of Hoya, he won well enough on points, scored a couple of knockdowns, and that was similar to his fight a few fights back against O'Hara Davies, a former Taylor rival. He can have this very sort of sparing, negative, pot-shotting boxing style where he carries his right hand low and he sort of pulls with a jab like that. I know you feint with a jab to get in, or you're trying to draw a punch from your opponent that you can counter. To my liking, he does that a little bit too much in some of his fights, and he pot shots with his left. From a southpaw stance, he has got good timing, but he can really put you to sleep, like he did against O'Hara Davies. That was a real chess match with not much happening, and he eked out the decision. Then again, on the other hand, like we saw against Timo Schwarzkopf and also a few fights back against Tyrone McKenna, if his opponent really brings it to him and puts it on him and doesn't try and box, then he can be quite an exciting fighter. Then he goes to the head and body, and he'll stand there and he'll trade with you like he did in those fights. What I did notice, he's got good shots to the body, good shots to the head. He's got the full arsenal, but when he does decide to trade with his opponent, guys like Tyrone McKenna and Timo Schwarzkopf, whom we know here in South Africa, they will put hands on him. They will compete, they will lose, but they'll land their punches of their own. And that could spell trouble against Josh Taylor. I don't think he can stand from outside and try and pot shot Josh Taylor like he did in his last fight, where he really didn't look good, and win a decision that way. He's going to have to let it all line out like Kambosos did against Teofimo Lopez. But can he do it against Josh Taylor? It's a big step up. It's not a step up that he doesn't deserve. Where is he going to go? He has to go onto world level now. But he hasn't got guys on his record like Victor Postol or Ivan Baranchyk. He definitely doesn't have guys like Jose Ramirez or even or Regis Prograis, who's also a very good fighter. He hasn't fought at that level, so he's going to have to take that jump step up, and he's going to have to fight out of his skin to beat Josh Taylor. I don't think he can do it by making it a technical boxing match. I think Taylor is quicker than him, both in foot and hand. He will have to crowd Taylor, and he will have to take him off his game, because we've seen against Jose Ramirez, if you can really bull and push Taylor into the ropes, you can have some success against him like Ramirez had. But we also saw in that fight how well Taylor can time you with an uppercut or a hook when you rush in on him, and that's what he did against Ramirez as well when he scored those knockdowns. Now, what I've noticed with Jack Catterall is he sometimes, when he's attacking, or whether it's coming forward throwing combinations, and also when he jumps forward with a single shot, he sometimes lurches into a punch. He kind of leans forward and picks up his chin slightly. And if he does that against Josh Taylor, he's going to get clipped. So can Jack Catterall spinning a George Kambosos? I don't see it. I just can't see it. To me, it's different levels. I said the same thing about Kambosos against Lopez, but to me, Josh Taylor is at least mentally, on the mental side, of a more composed professional. I don't think he has all that drama going on around him that Lopez had. So I don't see that kind of an upset on the cards. Of course, Jack Catterall is going to bring his A game. But as we've seen, like Josh Taylor did in one of his other mandatories against that fighter from Thailand, he does what he needs to do with guys that he needs to put away. He doesn't extend them. And I think Josh Taylor is going to be on his P's and Q's. He's motivated for this because it's in front of his home crowd. He wants to go on to bigger fights in the future, and he needs to get the mandatory out of the way. So will Jack Catterall be motivated. He'll be going at Josh Taylor. But I think Taylor is the consummate professional, barring something going wrong, like cutting off an arm and a leg to make weight. I don't think he should have too much trouble against Jack Catterall. I think we'll be competitive for a while. But for me, unless Catterall happens to have a granite jaw, and we don't really know, he hasn't faced major punches before, unless he has that, then I can see it going the distance. But my gut feel is he's going to walk onto something from Josh Taylor, and once Taylor has him in trouble, I don't think Jack Catterall has got the kind of power and strength of Jose Ramirez to keep Taylor really honest. I don't think what Catterall is going to bring is going to bother Josh Taylor. So I think I'm feeling Josh Taylor in this fight stopping Jack Catterall in 7 or 8 rounds. I think it's Taylor by stoppage for me, retaining his title in style. I think Jack Catterall is just not on the level of Josh Taylor. That, I think, is also the way the chalk is going to go, and that's more or less a consensus opinion of most people in the boxing world. But that is what I think, and that's what I'm here to tell you. So if you like this channel, please give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. It will help you to get the content out there. Enjoy the fight Saturday night. How I wish I could be in Glasgow to soak in that wonderful atmosphere that's going to be in the arena. And until I see you guys again, please remember to keep those hands up.